Before he was the devil of Hell's Kitchen, before he went toe-to-toe with Kingpin and broke bones in some of the greatest fights in Marvel history, Matt Murdock was just a blind kid from New York. But with a brand new Daredevil series coming soon, it's time to break down everything you need to know about the Man Without Fear. Now, full transparency, I did grow up a Marvel fan, so I always knew who Daredevil was, but I'll be real with you, I never collected his books. I was more of an X-Men and a Spider-Man kind of guy. So with the new show coming up, I figured now's the perfect time to finally do a deep dive and get the full Daredevil 101 experience. If you're in the same boat, stick around. Let's break down everything we need to know before Born Again drops. Daredevil was created by Stan Lee and Bill Everett back in 1964 during Marvel's golden age of superhero boom. His original yellow costume looked like a circus acrobat got lost in a Crayola factory, and his tone was more campy swashbuckler than gritty vigilante. But then, Frank Miller happened, and suddenly Daredevil was no joke. In the 80s, Miller turned Matt Murdock's world into a dark, brutal, crime-filled nightmare, pulling heavy influences from noir, Catholic guilt, and real-world legal drama. Writers like Brian Michael Bendis, Ed Brubaker, and Chip Zdarsky have only doubled down on that street-level intensity, making Daredevil one of Marvel's most consistently great books. Alright, let's talk about Matt Murdock. Son of a washed-up boxer, Battle and Jack Murdock, Matt grew up in Hell's Kitchen, New York, one of the roughest neighborhoods at the time. His father wanted more for him, so he pushed Matt to study, not to fight. But fate had other plans. As a kid, Matt got hit with radioactive chemicals while saving a blind man from an oncoming truck because, comics. The accident took his sight, but cranked his other senses up to superhero levels of 11. He could hear heartbeats through walls, read print with his fingertips, and even develop radar sense, basically turning him into a human lie detector / ninja. Think Spider-Man's Spidey sense, but permanent. After his dad was murdered for not throwing a fight, Matt was taken in by a mysterious blind martial artist named Stick, who trained him to become a lethal hand-to-hand fighter. Eventually, Matt became a lawyer by day and a masked vigilante by night, dedicating his life to protecting Hell's Kitchen as Daredevil. Now, Daredevil isn't a superhero in the traditional sense. He can't fly, he doesn't have superhuman strength, and he can't heal like Wolverine. But he does have his own bag of tricks. He has superhumanly enhanced senses. He can literally hear a person's heartbeat from across the room. He's got the built-in radar sense, which compensates for the blindness and lets him see without sight. Not to mention, master-level martial arts skills, trained by Stick, fighting like a mix of Batman and John Wick. He's got pain tolerance that's straight up insane, gets wrecked constantly, but always gets back up. Seriously, this man takes more punishment than your Wi-Fi router during a storm. Daredevil has one of the most underrated rogues galleries in Marvel Comics history. Well, let's hit the big ones. First up, the Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. Imagine if a mafia boss, a corrupt politician, and a sumo wrestler had a baby. That's Fisk. He runs New York's underworld, controls the cops, and constantly finds new ways to make Matt's life a living hell. Kingpin is basically Lex Luthor, if Lex could body slam Spider-Man. Then we've got Bullseye, Daredevil's personal boogeyman. This guy can turn literally anything into a deadly weapon. Pencils, paper clips, playing cards, you name it. He killed Elektra, Daredevil's love interest, just to mess with him. And that's the thing. He's pure chaotic evil with an obsession for ruining Matt's life. And of course, the Hand, a shadowy ninja cult that controls parts of New York and deals in the dark arts. They're like Marvel's versions of the League of Shadows, but with more zombie ninjas. And anytime these guys show up, things go bad fast. If you want to read Daredevil at his absolute best, here's some must-reads, no fluff, just pure storytelling gold. Born Again, 1986, by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. This is the definitive Daredevil story. Kingpin learns Matt Murdock's secret identity and systematically tears his life apart. His home, his job, his sanity, leaving him homeless, broken, and at rock bottom. But it's also the story of resilience as Matt claws his way back, proving why he's called the Man Without Fear. The Man Without Fear, 1993 to 1994, by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. Forget the original 64 origin, this is the real origin story. A darker, grittier take that redefines Matt's journey from a blind kid in Hell's Kitchen to the lethal protector of New York streets. If you want a perfect starting point for Daredevil, this is it. Guardian Devil, 1998 to 1999. Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada. This one's wild. Matt's thrown into a psychological thriller where he's forced to protect a mysterious infant that may or may not be the literal Antichrist. He spirals into paranoia, faith struggles, and personal tragedy, facing one of the darkest moments of his life. This story pulls zero punches. And lastly, we had Modern Greatness, Chip Zdarsky's run from 2019 to 2023. If you want something recent and incredible, Zdarsky's run is it. It re-examines what it means to be Daredevil, both as a hero and a man. with brutal fights, moral dilemmas, and one of the most intense Kingpin stories ever told. No matter where you start, you can't go wrong with any of these. But don't forget, Daredevil's been around outside of comics too. First, we got Ben Affleck's Daredevil in 2003, and, well, yeah, it has its moments, but let's be real. The best part about that movie was the Evanescence soundtrack. Then we get Netflix's Daredevil 2015 to 2018, easily one of Marvel's best adaptations, featuring Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock and Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. That hallway fight, chef's kiss. The writing, perfect. It's no surprise Marvel's bringing these guys back for the MCU. Speaking of which, Daredevil popped up in Spider-Man No Way Home, mostly only as Matt Murdock though, She-Hulk as both characters, and now he's starring again in Daredevil, Born Again, set to drop March 2nd on Disney+. Looks like they're opening with 2 episodes, guys, at 9 p.m. Eastern. So that's Daredevil, one of the most badass, underrated Marvel heroes out there. Whether it's comics, Netflix, video games, or the upcoming MCU series, the man without fear always delivers. What's your favorite Daredevil moment? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, drop a like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more deep dives on Winter Wolf's Den. Until next time, stay sharp, and remember that justice is blind.